No, they never are. All right, so I went and grabbed for our gingerbread man. I grabbed an actual candy cane in this free Christmas assets pack. I got a metal candy cane, also known as a crowbar. Grabbed a bunch of swords and things. I did grab a skeleton. So remember, we have got our two cookies that we provided that are made in Blender, textured there, rigged and animated. So we want those in there, and then you need to find at least two more characters. And we're gonna experiment some with that. So I've got. Let me just make sure that this thing even works the way I remember it's supposed to, and then we'll get the second Cookie Man in there and start playing with the animations. So let's see if it works. Yeah, when you close a project and then come back to it, like, I don't know, hours later, days later, just run it really quick, just in case. Yeah, it's part of that iterative testing we like to do. Like, wait a minute, do things still work? All right, so he still walks around, still gives an aggressive handshake. And then the weird jump animation that we'll fix later or not. So I'm not, this is, the whole point of this week is to experiment with the animations and make sure you can get them all working. If your jump is out of sync, don't even worry about it. If it called the jump animation, we're good, right? We could spend hours and days and weeks and years messing with that and fine tuning it. Just make sure they work. Okay, so he works. I'm going to go back to my demo level, I think. So my scenes folder, test scene. All right, so here's where Gingy was created and made. I'm going to use this same level to bring in our next cookie guy. So there we go. So back on our assignment page, there's Cookie Man, otherwise known as New Gingy. The new one just had some cool stuff going on, so we went with it. So he's got slightly different animations. I gotta find it, downloads. Into the assets folder. I had a models folder. Yeah, there we go. So I'm getting my models folder, grab New Gingy, we'll drag him in. Not everything. Details. And he's plain. So we're gonna go to the materials and we'll do all the extractions. We'll extract the textures right there in the folders. Fine. Wait, we had a materials folder. We'll put it in the materials folder. So we'll extract there. Should be good. Just in case, I'll extract the materials as well. And I went digital hoarding so much that it's hard to find all my folders now. I've got all kinds of junk. All right, so he's here. And then in the animation, let's see what all he does. So we'll try to quickly go through the same thing we did with Gingy on Tuesday. Just check him out. So he's got a walk. He's got, yeah, it's a serious jump, and he kicks. So we're going to come out with the sword. He's going to try and kick us. We'll need to speed those animations up like we did with Gingy. So that and the jump, the attack, and I think does he have an idle? Oh, looking around might be his idle. All right. So let's set him up. New frame or a new clip. So we'll just call it walk. Figure out where that ends. Try to end it at 90. So, and then maybe start it at, where's he at 90? Trying to find a starting frame that kind of matches. We'll try 15 to 90. We got some pop in there, but we're trying to do it fast. So we'll roll with that. Make sure it loops. Apply, and then we'll go grab the jump, I think was next. So start that at 100. And we'll call him landed at 210. Attack, we'll assume we started, I don't know, 215. And we'll see where it ends. And he comes back, and he's, sure, looks like he's back in place by 280. And apply. So much fun. We'll get into some pre-built animations soon. There we go. And I think the last thing we need is an idle. And then I don't think he had a damage animation, so we're just going to grab some clips somewhere in the middle of the rest of this. So we do the last one at 280, then we'll start idle at 281, maybe 5, 281. Just him looking around. 281 to 320, call that good for idle. We do want that one to loop as well. Oh, now it's doing the whole thing. All right, just check on idle here. So he just looks around suspiciously. Okay, I do need one more, and this is where we're going to have to make some stuff up. This would be the damaged. I think maybe at the start of his jump, where he's like starting to squat down, that might be a good. So we start at 100 and then go, yeah, just out a little bit. Go to 110. So it's like fully bent over. Look right. Oof. Yeah. So Gingy attacks with an aggressive handshake, and then we can tell this guy got hurt because he's bowing to us. I don't know. Use whatever bit you want in there, as long as it looks right. So he's all set up. Apply all that. Yep, that's applied. Let's check his size. We have another microscopic cookie man. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll go to the model. Let's just crank it up by 100 this time for a start. Oh, that's almost perfect. Okay. Should it be bigger or smaller than? Now you're talking crazy. Get out of here. You're done. Maybe a little taller. Nah, we'll try and we'll bring him down some. So let's just say 90 times the original scale. Yeah, that's fine. we'll let Gingy be a little more menacing. All right, and the same thing we did before, he needs an animator component, and then I need to make a animator controller. It's called a Cookie Man animator. We'll set them up. So open up new Gingy here and just start dragging in these clips that we just made. What's this one? Jump? Yeah, we want jump. This jump we just did as a one-time instead of the start and finish and all that, because I'm not going to use him as my main character. And then I'm just going to make sure idle is the default layer state. So that's what he'll do by default, and then we can do all the other stuff. Transition back and forth. Same setup as Tuesday. Should be easy. So from idle, we'll transition to walk. From walk, we'll transition back to idle, and kind of the same thing all the way around. So right click, make transition to attack. When that's done, we go back to idle. Let's do that for all of them. Some of these animation trees can get really crazy, and they can have it set where one can lead to all of them, right? So instead of ending my walk and going back to idle, I might have a transition from walk right into jumping or right into attacking. So they can get really complex and crazy, but we're just trying to keep it simple for now, just to get the point across. All right, so I'm just transitioning back and forth to idle. So we got the arrows back and forth, and we'll do a Boolean for is walking, and then I guess triggers for all the rest, right? Setting up our parameters. Call it jump. Let's call the trigger jump. We don't care. And another one for attack, and then another one for, let's call it oof. So yeah, it can be whatever. Just make sure your spelling works across from here to your scripts, and you should be fine. So now we'll just set those transitions. So going from idle to walk, we don't want exit time. We just want to start walking, and we want our conditions here to be is walking equals true, means we start the walk animation. And then the same thing back. Don't worry about an exit time. Is walking false, then we go back to idle. And we can set this up with that same controller that we had before, or the same script, just to make sure that they all work. But then we'll make him a nav mesh agent. So we got the arrow going from idle to attack. No exit time, and then that is the attack trigger. And on the attack, we won't even have, we want an exit time, so we want the attack animation to fully happen, and then we won't set a condition because this is a trigger. It just fires once and is done. So when attack is over, it'll just automatically go back to idle here. And we want the full attack animation to do, so we'll check this has exit time. So for jump, going from idle to jump, we don't want an exit time. We'll set the trigger. And the one back should be good. Yeah. Same with damage. And we called that trigger oof. Might look confusing because it's also the start of the jump, but whatever. All right, so that guy's set up. So I'm gonna go to new Gingy, and I can give him this new controller. So this is Cookie Man Animator. I'll drag that over to be the controller on his thing. We haven't got anything else set up on him. So let me go to my scene. We're just gonna see if he idles like he's supposed to. Is that not set? I might not have set it to loop. I think he bobbed his head once and then stopped. So we oopsed. All right, here we go. Animator, idle. Go to the actual clip. Here we go. So here's the idle animation clip. Okay, we'll go here. We'll just click on Gingy. No, don't open the FBX thing. All right. It's doing its thing. All right, so I went and clicked on the actual original model. I'm looking at the clips here. Yeah, and so idle I didn't set to loop. That was on me. All right, make sure you set those. The ones we want to loop should loop. So idle and walk should both loop. Walk. Walk is set to loop. Jump does not. Attack does not. Damage does not. All right, that's what we wanted. All right, let's try it again. So we should look around like he's confused. All right. Actually, let me set something up. So I can get my animator here, and I'm going to drag this to a different window. Just put it down here for now with the console. And we can test all of our triggers and transitions with these checkboxes here in the animator while we're running. We don't even have to write a script to run all those. Except when I go down to the checkbox, I'm also moving the camera. Huh? Yeah, that's right. There you go. Okay, so if I turn is walking on, he starts walking badly, slowly. Check the jump. World's slowest somersault. If you can't dodge a kick that slow, you're in trouble. And look, you can see visually, like it's running through the idle loop. And then if I check this guy, we oof really quick and back. Yeah. Yeah, it almost looks like, oh, you hit me. Good job. So whatever. He works. All right, let's get on with it. So he's here. We can write some controllers for him to be a nav mesh agent. Basically what we did before. So using our smart cowboy script or something like that, we'll call the appropriate animations. When he's walking towards something, we'll call the walk animation. And then when he gets close enough to us, we can call the attack animation, that kind of thing. So really it's going to be combining what we did for Gingy on Tuesday with some nav mesh stuff. But we want to get into the fun stuff, or at least I do. I don't know what you're here for. And I'm going to make a prefab out of this guy really quick. So we've got him. And now I want to mess with Gingy. And we want to give him weapons. Because what good is a giant moving cookie if it can't attack you? No, seriously, it was a real question. What? All right. So what are we thinking? I've got some swords I downloaded. I've got the crowbar. I've got the Christmas candy cane. Crowbar? Just straight for blood. Okay, crowbar it is. Oh, okay. All right. So that crowbar is a little messed up. It's got a weird. That kind of works. We'll see. It's got a weird pivot point. Let me go fix its materials. So again, we'll grab the purpled out materials, edit, rendering, materials, convert. Oh, there we go. All right. So the key here is to find, right, Gingy's, he's a fully rigged character, right? Because he can animate, so there's a skeleton inside of him. So these are all nodes where his bones are at. And so we want to attach the crowbar to, is he right-handed or left-handed? He's okay, so a crowbar in each hand? Well, actually, which one punches? I think it's the right one that punches. So we'll put the crowbar here as a child of his right hand. And frame in on that. And so now we want to position it. Ideally, what you want to do is put its point of origin right about the same point of origin as the bone, or as close to it as possible. His hand's way up there. I'm going to keep it down further. And we can spin it around. What he's going to hit with this side, right? More like the candy cane. Move it up. Roughly thereabouts. You can adjust as needed. Trying to think. I think his hand, because it's the handshake thing. So when the hand goes straight out, there it's going to be up in the top's going to be up in the air. So we'll just have him dragging the ground with it for a while until he goes to attack. All right, and with that there as his child, the animation should work? Question mark? Let's try it. A little menacing even in idle mode. All right, he's not set up to receive any damage, but here we go. Yeah. I haven't put a rigid body or a collider or anything on him. We'll set him up in a minute. I just want to get the attack looking good because I don't know. There's something wrong with me. I'm just going to move the crowbar down a little bit, and we won't even care that it clips the ground. What we could do is we could use some bad video game logic, and we can just hide the crowbar until he's going to attack, and then the crowbar magically appears if you don't like it dragging the ground. I'm going to use its local, and I'm going to slide it forward. There's positioning. So when he's holding this, it'll clip in the ground, but we don't care. All right, we need new scripts. So new Gingy, he's going to get a script, and we're going to have him just be enemy nav cookie, whatever we want to call it. And we can set up all of his nav mesh agent stuff. animations. Right now, I just want him to register that that he got hit. So I'm going to do an on trigger. Trigger enter, and then we'll need access to his animator. Private that. We have here. We'll steal from ourselves again. There we go. Yeah, just animator. I don't know why it wasn't trying to fill in animator. So we'll just call this the cookie animator. Also going to borrow from our start here that we get the animator. And we didn't set up a rigid body yet, but we can set that up later so that we can actually knock them across the map and fun stuff. Okay, so we've got an animator. We got a handle on that. And so on trigger enter if other game object tag is, I don't know what we're going to call that sword. Crowbar? Player weapon? We'll call it player weapon. And cookie animator is going to set trigger. And we called this oof, right? And since it's a trigger, we don't have to unset it. It fires once and then goes back to default. So we're good to go. This should be all we need on this script. Now I just need to tag player weapon, and then I need to put a collider on this guy. Who's, oh my lord. So he works better in Unity than he does here. That's, wow. Okay, we found his second phase, his mutation. Yeah, final form, exactly. All right, back to Unity. All right, new Gingy's got a script that we will play with later. I just want to make sure we can make him go oof. So he's going to need a collider. We'll just put a capsule collider on him. And we'll make that trigger. We can set up other colliders for his movement and other stuff later. I just want something that can register that it got hit. Hit him. Yeah, close enough. All right, he's set up. So since that collider's a trigger, we should get the call. And now I just need to put a tag on Gingy's metal candy cane. All the way down the spine. Down the right shoulder. Come on. There we go. Crowbar. Okay, so I just need to put a tag on this. We'll add a tag, and we called it what? Player weapon? Got the tag, we'll add it. One thing I'll want to do after this is I'll want to make sure that I can't just like when I'm idling by. Oh, my player weapon doesn't have a collider on it, so it's not going to register the rest. But what I want to do is I'm going to want to turn on something on the end of the crowbar that says, hey, I'm attacking. Now we want you to be damaged. Because if I'm just standing next to him waving a crowbar, I don't want him to get all damaged. Like we're going to be, because he's got no collider on him except for the trigger.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to add for this guy, we'll do a mesh collider and we'll just shrink wrap it. So mesh collider convex. And then I think he will need a rigid body in order to get all, and we'll just make the rigid body kinematic. There we go. So that it's not trying to fall out of his hand or clip through anything. So remember, when we check it is kinematic, it means the movement on this will happen from outside forces, not from the physics engine. What in the world is happening? Uh, where did it go? Yeah. Yeah, even at kinematic, the rigid body was intersecting with Gingy's collider and just pushing him off. So oops. Let's do this. Instead of the rigid body on the crowbar, we'll put a rigid body on our enemy because we're going to need one there anyway. That was funny. I mean, in a sad kind of way. It was funny. Running off the stage ourselves. We'll just leave the regular. We'll just leave him here. We'll see if we can knock this guy over in addition to triggering his animation. So that's another problem. Right. We'll get him. We needed to get him fully set up anyway. All right. So new Gingy, which we're going to go ahead and we're going to call Cookie Man. Fun stuff. Everything. That's a trigger. That's a rigid body. Let me just apply this, and then I'll go into prefab mode. Work at the base here. So he's got a capsule collider on him. It's a trigger, but since that gave him no physicality, he slipped through the world. We'll just put a box collider on him. That can be his regular, like, physicality. Won't be trigger, and we'll move this up. And we're going to want this inside the basically the envelope of the trigger. So if the trigger that says, hey, I've been hit is smaller than the collider that is his physical presence, then I can't get to it. All right, so I need that invisible trigger collider outside of it so that he can register that he got oofed. Okay. So I'm just using my little green dots here that are barely visible. Yeah, that's kind of good. Come in just a little bit. All of this just to see him animate his little bow. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, he registered. Oh, and then we knocked him over. Beat him while he's down. All right. Now what you want to do is you want to put in some threatening audio clips, like next time I'll throw you in a cup of milk or something like that. That worked. All right. So let's check our rubric and see that we did all the things, or that we're on our way to doing all the things at least. So I've got my cookie man. We'll just scroll all the way down here. So we need a new URP or SRP, whatever they're calling it, 3D project, and just find a fun game level. I did have a note in here that we might want to reuse this later. So we wanted some enclosed parts. It's fine if it doesn't. We can enclose some parts later, but we may reuse these for some lighting assignments later. So we reported Gingy, separated out his attacks. In our demo scene, we've got him all set up where he can work. So I need two scenes for this. I need the demo scene or test scene or whatever you call it, where actually the gingerbread man is your main character and everything that we did set up and works. Okay. We'll do a Cinemachine camera next, so don't let me forget that. And then we got our other new Gingy Cookie Man set up. Same deal. All that works. And then in our actual game scene, we'll need two more animated characters. Grab some from wherever. And then I don't care which one's your main player. So you want to put the controller on a robot or a skeleton or Santa Claus or whatever you happen to find, then that's fine. And then the others will just be, at least one needs to be the enemy. So we want melee combat with two different characters. And then the other two can just like wander around the scene or be NPCs or offer to sell you crowbars or whatever. If you can get your goose that you're always using, was it a goose or a duck? He can be like if you can get him animated, then you're good. Or yeah, just use him as a weapon. Swing a goose at people, like we do. All right. Let me just go to the other scene. So our dock level, yes, save everything we did here, please. And I can just drag Cookie Man in to be a punching bag for us. So we're going to want your main enemy that you're going to do combat with. We're going to want him to also come at you. And so we'll use the nav mesh scripts. He'll come toward you. And then when he gets within some distance and you can just have a bigger trigger out there to say, hey, you're in my range now, then he'll start doing his animation for attacking. And then we want them, to hurt each other, or at least to trigger each other's damaged animations. If you don't script up a full health bar and one of them died, that's fine. We're really worried about triggering animations this week. So in my dock level, there's Gingy. We wanted to set up a Cinemachine camera, and then I'll just drop Cookie Man in here just to hang out. Down there. Cinemachine is awesome. So prior to this week, we were doing everything first person, so the camera just stayed with us. It was fine. Here where we've got the camera following Gingy everywhere, but very static. It works, but it also gets kind of weird. I can never see Gingy's beautiful smiling face. Right, I can move it around a little bit, but that camera just never really does much. So, there is already Cinemachine. So very cinematic cameras that Unity has given us that we can use. So we're going to go to Window, Package Manager, and in Unity Registry, we'll look for Cinemachine. So we want to install that. I've got a page on our module for this with a couple of videos on how to set it up, and we're going to fake our way through quickly, maybe. Once it all imports.
Why use Cinemachine? You can do all of this math yourself and like get like free brain aneurysm.
That's why. Exactly. Yeah. I'm not. I don't need another brain aneurysm. Not this week. Let's see if we can find that guy. But if I just come here, we gotta find it. There we go. So in game object, Cinemachine now, we've got a new thing. And there's all kinds of cool stuff. There's targeted cameras, a follow camera, free look, third person aim. I think the follow or just the regular Cinemachine are going to be your best out of the box. But let's just try it. So we'll try a follow camera. So we've got a new camera in here, and we can set that up in a minute, and then we're going to take the camera off of Gingy, his main camera. We'll go ahead and just delete that. So now we got one camera. Let's see what it's even looking at. Oh, it's not set up. Oh, that's right. So the Cinemachine is not a camera itself, it's a camera controller. So let me drop a camera back in since I just deleted it. Cinemachine brain is required in the scene. We've got a button for add brain. Man, I wish this worked on people. But there we go. And that should have added some stuff. Yeah, it added some good stuff to the camera itself. It found the main camera and said, hey, here's a brain for you. And now I think I just need to tell it what to follow. Okay, so we got a tracking target here in the Cinemachine camera. And if I just grab my Gingy attacks and say, this is the thing you should follow, then it's behind him. I think we can adjust some of that. No, those don't want to move. Let's just see if this even follows him. Terrible. All right. We can add, I think we can add a collider to our camera so that it won't clip. We'll throw a box collider around it. We'll see what happens. Still clipping. Awful. Anyway, like I said, there is a couple of videos here for third-person cameras using Cinemachine. This is another one of those topics that we could have an entire, I don't know, half a semester on. Like, there's a lot of settings. Who was going to do the Unity Artist exam? Addie and Kaylee? Yeah. Cinemachine's on there. So there's going to be, if I remember right, there's a few questions about Cinemachine. We didn't get too deep in that one, but it's there. So definitely watch these videos and make sure your camera works good for this week. You had fun? All right. So get Cinemachine working, get your characters in. Is there something in the rubric that we have not really covered? We want to, so we're calling the oof when we get hit. So you're gonna be mixing and matching scripts back and forth, right? So when the enemy, whoever the enemy is, attacks the player, whoever the player is, then we want the player to react and do that animation, etc., back and forth. Um, oh, that's what I wanted to look at was these things. So got new Gingy. Let me go back to my test scene. This is cool, but let me go back to the test scene and see if we can mess some stuff up there. I mean, no, that's what I mean. All right. This one needs a camera because I deleted it from the prefab. We'll just add a regular Cinemachine camera. Oh no, I won't get rid of that. Yeah, so we've got physics on the crowbar, so it's not knocking him around, but when it swings into the ground, he's popping up. We're gonna pretend that's what we meant to do the whole time. Yeah, we're gonna call it a feature. All right, let me try something. So I've got let me see if I can find them. Free weapons, materials, seaport, polytope. Okay, I think this is it. So I've got some low poly characters that I drug in. Let's see if this guy shows up. All right, I got a skeleton I can drag in if I'm on the scene. And we'll just line him up and see what we can do with him. I need to fix his materials. Village weapons, demos. Where's the material? Maybe we'll grab a different character because I don't want to mess with that. All right, we're off shopping. Animated character. Free. Here we go. Open in Unity. So what I'm going to try to do is bring this guy in. Oh, he's already there? Wait a minute. It's a different thing. Open in Unity didn't work. Import to project. Yeah, bring that stuff in. And we'll drag in a robot. Okay, so this guy already has an animator on him and an animator controller. So we can look at his animator controller, and he's got all this stuff that's just not set up. They've got a death animation, jumping, get hit, which we call damage, running, all of that stuff. Kind of fun. That's going to work the way I want it to. What I'm trying to get to is that when we brought the cookies in, they had their own animations baked in. They were made for them. They were rigged that way. We don't have to stick with that. As long as is what you're messing with is using a basic human rig, we can swap animations and controllers back and forth. So that's where what's the thing that Doc Burton has you guys use? Mechanim. No, it's the character Mixamo. Thank you. Yeah, so we can bring in Mixamo. I could find a good animation of a breakdance and throw it on Gingy, and all of that. Let me just try some of that. So let's see what the death animation on Robot looks like, and we'll try to apply it to a different character. And we're really taking a shot in the dark and hoping that the skeletons are at least similar. So this guy, he's got all of his stuff already broken out. What does his death animation look like? He zaps and falls down. I like it. Okay. Let's try this. I'm going to move my animator back up here. And I'm going to try to put someone else's animation on Gingy. We'll see if that's even possible. Pull the death animation. And we'll transition to that from idle, and we'll transition back. And just to keep it easy, we're just going to replace his jump. All right, we'll just use the same trigger. So his start jumping animation will start this, and then he'll just transition back. We make sure that we unhook the actual jump so that he's not trying to do two animations at once. Will this work? I have no idea. Let's try it. For science, exactly. I want your dang lemons. Okay, the attack still works. Jump is still making him boost up, but it's not triggering that animation. It could be that they're not using the same kind of rig. Okay, let me try it this way. What if I give him Cookie Man's jump instead? Models. There we go. So one year, somebody actually had Gingy doing the entire Thriller dance. They found it on Mixamo, and it just worked. So that was fantastic. Made life interesting. Chaz. Yeah. She's like, yeah, that tracks. Okay, we're gonna give, or try to give, Cookie Man's jump to Gingy. We'll see if that works. But then you saw how Cookie Man looked in the FBX viewer. He got all warped, so who knows what's going to happen here. They're not working. Well, anyway, it's possible that we can't mix and match in the animator, but we can just give the different animator controllers to each other. Anyway, that's what you should be experimenting with. We're gonna call it. It's 10:30. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, and we'll spend the rest of our time making sure the sword only works when he's deliberately attacking. Yeah. Ring that bell, or we'll come find you. Yeah.
You do the outro with the
Yeah, like you could get YouTube monetized if you do an outro today. Like think about that.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm.
You could though. Like this could.
So
be
this
a
guy
month
he goes right into his idol, which is nice. So robot will be an easy one to get set up if you're looking for third and fourth characters. Cookie Man's weak. He's weak. Yeah, look, my crowbar's just like happens to be tapping him where I'm standing, and he's like, "Ah." Let's fix that. So we only do deliberate attacks.
So, are you gonna do this in the code, or are you gonna like actually like in the animation put like a keyframe for the actual like?
I think I'm gonna put a crowbar. I'm gonna put something on him. Where'd he go? Wait, he doesn't even have. Did that not get saved? It didn't get saved. Okay, let me go back here. That's what happened. So we do my overrides. Yeah, there was no collider on it. All right, so we'll put the collider on. We'll go into prefab. And I think what I can do is just activate and deactivate the collider. Like if we've just said, hey, attack and start that animation, then we can activate the mesh collider on his crowbar and then kill it when it's done. We think? Maybe. All right. So we'll need a new script on Gingy.
The best way to do it is to have like 10 billion array tasks or something.
Get out of here. You're done.
Like I'm curious. Like, what's the like least form of way physically possible to do this approximately?
I'm sure you'll find it. Okay. So I've just got a new script called Gingy Attacks. I'll need access to the animator, methinks, and to the collider itself. So go up here, pull from Gingy Moves. So I need that. Nice. Collider, call it weapon, collider. And that we will have to hand it in the inspector. Yeah. She was trying to get back to school, so I was just cue that. All right. Now, so I've got this. There's a set trigger. What if I can get a get trigger? So in the update, I will check if animate Gingy no, how can I get it? Reset the trigger. I can't check the trigger. That stinketh. Current animator state info. Oof. Okay. Speed update set. That's goofy as heck, but it might work. Okay, we'll try this. All right. So on that animator, get current animator state info. Is name. What do we call it? Will attack. Lowercase w. Wouldn't have worked. All right. Then, yeah, we'll do the debug first, and then we'll see what else we can handle. Oh, there we go. The console. Hide the errors. We don't care. Seriously. Didn't print to the console. I didn't do anything with the weapon collider. I just literally in the script, I was getting the animator off of. I didn't tell it, huh? Yeah, and I just X'd out the errors. I was like, I don't care. Let's look. Ah, yeah, different. Okay. Oh, that's because of from the original script before I put in the Cinemachine camera. But this is looking for. Just to be sure, I'll give it the animator. Give it the collider from the crowbar. Let's see what we're messed up on the script. With information on the current state. Thanks. Issue with triggers. Solved. Perfect. Okay. Grab these. We'll get into the actual animator state controller instead of trying to do it on update. Oh, okay. We need to extend from state machine behavior, not a mono. Fun. Now we're getting into it. Okay. Get rid of that, and we'll just make sure we set up the animator in the inspector. And then this is junk we don't need. Okay, so we've got a state machine watching all of this. State. Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just looking to see if they were just checking for any state. Here's where I probably need to throw that code from the first tab in. Franken coding. So fun. Add that. So what do I put it on? Fantastic. Well, I don't know what I'm doing apparently. We can figure it out. We got 5 minutes. No. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's awesome. Okay. Okay. I need to take it off of here. I do remember doing this now. So that doesn't go on Gingy. State machine behavior actually goes on. Clear that, please. Actually goes on the animation state. Wherever it's at. Where's my stuff? No, because the animator controller is its own object. I just don't know where my clips went. I'm not seeing them, which is hilarious. They're all jacked up. So what we're supposed to be doing is this guy's, yeah, it just somehow zoomed out and now I can't see any of my animations. Out or in or somewhere. So that script, this guy, I guess I don't even need to put this, which one are we on? So I would add this state machine behavior script that doesn't need that to the actual state in the animator controller. And then I could do stuff like hide and unhide weapons or disable and or re-enable the collider, which is what I wanted to do. So if the collider's not there, then the enemy won't register the hit and we're good. So that's what we're trying to do. I know I've done this exact thing before, just forgot all about it, how to do it, and now we're out of time and we've got errors. Super fun.
It's a cliffhanger.
Well, it's a cliffhanger, but also in the sense that you got to do the homework this weekend. So I will try to get this written up at least. I guess this is an extra bit. As long as your people can attack each other and receive those, which we already did, we're fine. This was just me being extra and wanting to make sure that the weapons didn't harm unless we intended harm. But sometimes we don't have that option. Sometimes if I just walk around and start swinging my leg, someone might get hurt. Right? It just, did I intend to knock Brady out? No. Just a fringe benefit.
Can I zoom though?
For what?
Offhand is the law.
Okay. Any questions about just the rubric? Because it's it's kind of open. I don't care who in your game scene. I don't care who the player is, but one of the four animated characters needs to be the player. At least one other animated character needs to be who you're melee combating with. We could just put a collider on Gingy's fist or the robot's fist and literally just have them be punching. They don't have to have weapons. Either way, it's melee combat. Weapons do make it better. And maybe blood splatter particle systems, but that's up to you. Yeah. And then I think we do have, just more game mechanics for bonus points. Again, look at this. All I'm really looking for is I can hit the button and my animation works, and then the thing that I interacted with, its animation works. I don't need the enemy to die. I don't need the player to die, but I need the player to oof. So if you want to add in health bars and enemy can take only 4 hits or whatever, that would be more game mechanics and that'd be bonus points, but not required for the sake of your weekend. Just get all the animations working. Cool? Fair? All right. Hit me up on Discord with any complaints or questions. Hit me, yes. Grab Discord, smack me in the face with it.
Just like